Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. Here with my partner, Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, WCS this past week secured team state championship number 2. We had a couple of individual state titles in our first opportunity to do so. And we had the first round of the playoffs, Tate. It's fair to say, what have we had? Is it 3 sports now?
3.
4. Soccer, cross country, golf, volleyball.
Right. Yeah.
2 state champions team, 4 team state runners-up, a runner-up in an individual race, and 2 champions. So it's been a pretty good start for WCS.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of what we do in the fall, right? By the way, the weather this weekend, could it have been any better?
It was great.
It was money.
It was great.
Yeah. What a great time to last week was a great time to run the state championship. I'm glad the weather was like that. That was in cross country. Very cool.
So I didn't pay attention what it was at the time of the meet. I'm thinking maybe mid to low 60s. I've been told that the runners really like 50s.
Really?
Yeah.
Not quite as
well. You know how I'm getting that from? The resident doctor.
Oh. The bicyclist.
I like because you immediately trashed it.
Well, what does he know?
Talking about Dr.
You talking about the Centerville bicyclist?
Give me the Centerville Flash.
We talking about the Natchez Parkway Flash?
Poor Dr. Claus. We just hammer.
We love him.
We do love him. We kid because we care.
That's right.
And because it's funny.
And yes.
Not necessarily.
And because he puts himself out there.
So, obviously, the weather was great. By the results, which we'll talk about in a second, you could tell that was the case. Hey, Brentwood girls cross country, their 4th straight state team title. The boys team was runner-up. In terms of individuals, Claire Stegall of Nowensville with her 2nd state title, back-to-back, her freshman and sophomore year. Shades of Alyssa Andrea from Fairview. She won as a freshman and sophomore. And then Miles Raymer of Ravenwood won. And people might forget this, Tate. Miles won it 2 years ago. He didn't run last year. So he won his sophomore year. Junior year didn't compete. Won his senior year. And I know you're happy to see Miles. He's committed to the Tennessee Vols.
That's right.
For next level.
Smart man. He's also a scholar. Highly intelligent. Which
doesn't mean that's why he's going there. He just happens to be.
Well, pretty strong academic program from what I hear. Depends on where you're going, what part you're going to.
And what you're going for.
That's right. He's going to do great. He'll be able to run by the river. And that's really neat, man, to come back after sitting out a year and win it. And I know you're going to get to it. His time was pretty impressive, too. I can't wait to see what you think as we get into the results and you start telling the times. That's where I was kind of going. Do you think no, there is no do you think. The weather had to do something with it because these times are just, it's 2023 and athletes are more finely tuned and the training and everything that they do now. But still, these times were lightning. Well, if this was track and field, you'd be asking if it was wind aided.
That's right. And we learned last year, for those of you out there that weren't watching, that there actually is if the wind's too much helping, it doesn't count as an official record.
Correct.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. So let's talk about this week's gym, Tate. Mr. Raymer, he sets a state meet record. And you remember we talked about that. State record and meet record, that's a little bit different. But this is the state meet record.
This was run at a state championship meet.
That's right. Yeah. 15.075. Here's what I thought was cool. He broke the previous record, which was set by Brentwood's Brody Hasty, which I thought was kind of cool. So if we're going to get a record broken, we want it broken by one of our own. Kind of a Battle of the Woods state record.
Cross-country state championship meet edition.
But let's go to that girls thing, Tate. So if you take a look here, and I'll let you go through the results there in terms of teams.
Okay.
But Brentwood, they were battling the flu as a team. We're not breaking HIPAA. We're just saying, we're not saying.
We didn't name any individual.
We're just saying the ailment. One of their top runners didn't even finish, and they still if you look, does that qualify for boat race?
You know, I think it was right on the cusp. I mean, I had it ready, as you can see, but it would have been. But then when you look at the overall average, but let's just break this down. So Brentwood went. Remember, in cross country, you want the lowest amount of points that you can get.
And they take the top 5.
They take the top 5. This is not bowling, where you want the highest amount of points you can get. This is cross country, lowest amount. So Brentwood wins with a score of 92. That's a 19 minute, 6 second per runner average.
It's pretty good.
That's strong. Hardin Valley, number 2 with 136. So that's if 30 points is a boat race, that's 29 points right there. That's how close we were. They had an average of 1920. Then you get to, I know you don't really care, but you do care. Beach was number 3, 141. So is Coach Askren still the cross-country coach there?
No, he's twice removed now.
Twice removed.
It was Waiteca,
Okay.
and now he went to Liberty Creek.
To be a wolf.
He actually wanted a place where he can practice track on an actual track.
I kind of like the cinder block.
The cinder block finish.
I need to be careful here, but that could be a clown show. We might do that in the offseason. Page came in at number 6 at 171. Independence was at number 9. And then Farragut wrapped up the top 10 with 300 points. So if you go from number 1 to 10, they beat them by over 200 points. That's how big of a tail kicking that was. On the boys' side, Farragut is number 1. Brentwood with 41 points. They kind of got after them pretty good too. Number 2 was Brentwood at 67. They had an average of 1606. Independence, 3rd place.
Coach Finley's done a good job.
He's done a great job. He's put a lot of, he's beat the hall, kind of like you talk about, some of these other places. If I was the basketball coach, I'd be in the hallways. I'd recruiting. Hey, how about this? Let's quit complaining about everybody recruiting. How about we recruit our own kids? It's a
well said, Mr.
novel
Mathews.
idea. And I think Coach Finley's done that. Ravenwood 4, obviously they had the state champion with 159. And then that did it for us in the bigger classification in AAA on the boys' side. Those were the only Wilco schools in the top 10. So 2, 3, and 4, pretty strong on the boys' side. And we had the state champion, individual state champion.
So let's talk about the individual. We'll start with girls. Only 5 times in state championship history have the top 2 finished with sub-18 times, both, in this case, WCS. Janie Halterman, Independence, who won the region title with a time of 17:08:22. Claire Stegall, 16:56:32. Now I want you to, there's only been 4 sub-17 times ever. Ever. So Claire, who wins as a freshman on the same course, her time last year was 17:52. She took 56 seconds off her time.
Well, and I think something else that's getting lost in this is, it's a heck of a compliment to both of them. But remember, Janie Halterman won the region title.
Pretty convincingly.
So I'd love to know what that strategy was. And then, she just turned on the juice. Charles Pulliam, who, if you're not following Charles on X,
sorry, I wasn't ready.
You need to be following him on that. Charles, the sports editor for the Williamson Herald, does such a great job. But he shows that you were there. They were really neck and neck for most of the meet. And then, it was like, what was that game? Spy Hunter. Remember that? And you'd hit the nitrous oxide boost or whatever. Remember that? She hit that. She went Spy Hunter on everybody.
I know our executive producer, Creed Henderson, would probably not like me saying this, but I don't play video games.
Ever? Not even when you were a kid?
Not really.
Spy Hunter. I bet Creed.
Played a little Space Invaders. A little bit.
Super Fast Miss Pac-Man?
A little Galaga. I just play it to be social, but I wasn't locked up locked up in my room playing.
No, I wasn't either, but Spy Hunter was legit. Anyways, she put it into overdrive. So, that And then Janie got runner-up with a 17:08. So, and that's not
Which is a great
at all.
time.
That's right. That's right. And you were going back to Kathy Kroger, ran a 16:59.45. I don't know if that was the year she won it, but I bet it was. She was the Gatorade National Runner of the Year. Think about that.
Pretty special. And I want to get back to that in just a second. Gabrielle Boutros Page finishes 7th. Lauren Banovac, Brentwood 8th. Lydia Cromwell 12th. So I don't want to say anything that's going to get people upset. But I told you this before the show. So when I was in Sumner County working at Beach High School, I knew the name Kathy Kroger because she always showed up in the Tennessean and best runner, and this is the time. She's great. We love her. Prop her up appropriately. Is it time for us to go ahead and say that she has been, Kathy, we appreciate you. You did great, but if you want to talk about best runner, you're going to have to move aside, and it's Miss Stegall.
The answer is yes. I hate to be like some of those guys we chuckle at, the Hall of Famers and like. But if we go back in the archives, I believe 2 years ago, we will find a show where I said she's going to be better than Kathy Kroger. And you said, oh, really? And I said, yes, I think so. So
it's time.
It's time.
It's time.
16. It's kind of like we were talking the other day, threes beat twos.
Right.
1656 beat 1659.
Well, in her defense, I'm wondering if it's kind of like, again, we'll go back to the resident doctor. When he finished second in the high jump, lost to a Patriot in the final.
Yeah.
He was jumping in like untied Jordans and like shorts down to his knees like he was on the Fab Five.
He was wearing some Chicago Bulls starter shorts that he got.
So I wonder if Kathy was like weighed down by the...
No. I believe this is apples to apples.
Yeah.
I just think that's how special this young lady is.
It's pretty neat to watch.
And again, I mean, Janie, hey, this is unbelievable. What a great time. Runner-up in the AAA state cross-country meet. That's unbelievable. Think about that. A 17:08 and it didn't win it. That's crazy.
Incredible. It's incredible.
And you read them, but 5 in the top 12. That's AAA, the entire state. That's pretty dominant. That's something to be proud of.
Boys side, we mentioned Miles Raymer with the state meet record. And by the way, the guy that finished second would have been the state meet record if it wasn't for Miles. Asher Oates,
That's
Independence, finishes 4th. Callahan Fielder, 6th. Keller Vaughn, 12th, both of Brentwood.
Yep.
And then Karsten Hansley of Independence. So it was just a great meet for us. No surprise. I did think there was a chance that the Brentwood boys were going to kind of slip in there. But Farragut, they're pretty good.
No, they're pretty much the same school, kind of, So
and
no surprise there.
You got a special place in your heart for Farragut.
That's dang right. I was an admiral. Hey,
now you just
how close is 15 minutes 75 and 15:01:47 in person? I mean,
it was close.
Yeah,
it was close. You know what was interesting? I saw Miles talking about this, and I don't remember it being like this the last couple of years. That finish was like
downhill.
Yeah, it's like a slip and slide. I mean, it really was big time down. He talked about that, and it.
You know how like people dive into the what if I wonder if anybody's ever done that. End zone dove to the finish line.
It's incredible. So no surprise again, cross country, proud of those folks. And I thought this was kind of cool. I was glad they both got this because I thought they deserved it. Mr. Football semifinalists in 5A, Dominic Reed, Centennial, Eric Hazard, Page High School. Very well deserved. You have any thoughts about one of those guys maybe winning it? And being a finalist and all that stuff?
Well, one, congratulations. You get mentioned as a Mr. Football semifinalist in your classification. That's a big, big deal. One, Eric's a junior. So that's pretty dang special. And then Dominic, I hope he doesn't get hurt statistically. By the way, we're going to get to it. He had another big night. When the games matter, that's the thing. So I hope he doesn't get hurt statistically in the voting. What you have to understand is these guys all get together in a room. It's sports writers from across the state. East, Middle, and West. Well, I'm willing to bet our guys in the middle, like Charles Pulliam. I think he does a fantastic job. I don't think Charles can speak real. I don't think he has a real good grasp of who's good in East Tennessee because he doesn't cover it. Right. So unfortunately, the East Tennessee guys and the West Tennessee guys look at, and vice versa. They look at stats. So there were a lot of games where Dominic came out. Coach Stewart talks about it on the game days. Hey, coach, take me out. I'm good. Let my teammates play. So, and that's one thing we talked about is, I understand you need to look at the stats and they should be part of it. But there's got to be a better way to look at the stats in the big games and have that broken out. Because, why do we have the 30-minute? Why do we have the 30-point running clock? To keep teams from getting absolutely embarrassed. Well, we're trying to do that, but then if Jamal Stewart finds out Dominic Reed didn't win because he pulled his kids out, so then what does he do? Do you want more clowns out there beating people 70-0? No. So, anyways, I hope that doesn't hurt him. And what they've done now with the linemen is the linemen are in there with the backs. So my thoughts are this. Great job by Eric Hazard. It's almost impossible for a lineman to win it. Great job by Dom Reed. I hope they look at the stats in the big games. If they do, Dom Reed probably wins it.
It would be great.
That'd be awesome, man.
Centennial.
That would give Centennial their second Mr. Football winner. By the way, did you watch Monday Night Football? Sunday Night Football.
Dotson the other one?
Yeah, Tyrell.
Okay.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Tyrell was Mr. Football winner.
I like Tyrell. Good guy.
There was a Sunday night, the Bills and the what is wrong with me? The Bills and the Bengals. There's been a uniform, in forever in the NFL, certain positions could only wear certain numbers, and they've changed that. I didn't notice it until Sunday night. Tyrell played a lot and played well. He's gone back to number 25.
Oh.
He couldn't wear it before. He went back to 25. Pretty cool.
That was signed that second contract.
Yes. And that's the life-changing.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Great young man.
Next time he wants to go to Sportsman's Grill, he's buying, not us.
Let's get into the football playoffs. I think you and I would admit that we were a little surprised that we went 6-2.
Yep.
Maybe you would convince me, okay, we'll lose one, but I no way thought we'd lose two. So 6-2. I do think ultimately the teams that we think are going to go the deepest, that's still intact. The one fear I had in 6A is the one we lost, but I still thought Independence would win. But that was the one fear I had, which for reasons we'll get to. But well, and at halftime, it wasn't looking that good.
That's right.
I was like, we're behind in that game. I kind of set up and did a little playoff central kind of mode on Friday.
I like that.
I was keeping up with all the games, and we got NFHS and then the TV
multiple screens going.
It was fun. Brentwood, they were down 7-0 early, tied 7-7 at the half. We'll start with 6A. They ended up with a 28-7 win. Tie was broken late in the third. I thought this was cool. Clayton Merrill, the junior, hits his freshman brother, Jonas Merrill, with a 33-yard touchdown. And it was no fluke of what Cane Ridge did. They outgained Brentwood 306-243, but Brentwood 3-0 in the turnover battle. I'm not totally surprised that their game went the way it did because Brentwood is one of those teams, I keep saying it, and this is actually a sign of respect on my part. They're not just obviously dominant, but when you add everything up, namely the score, 11 out of 11 times they've won. They just have something about them in terms of getting a win. I think it'll be the same thing with this week. When they play Summit, I think it's going to be tight. But when you add up the score, I feel like Brentwood will be there.
Well, we've talked about it. They're a complete team.
They are.
In all three phases of the game. So, you're right. One, it was very cool. Clayton hit Jones.
Did I say Jonas?
I think you said Jones. It sounded almost like your Battle of the Woods.
Well, but what might have happened, I was thinking the Jonas brothers.
That's right.
Because his brothers. There's his brother.
Don't forget, we got Walker. Now we got Clayton, and now we got Jones coming. Jones, growing up,
here we go.
It might still be, Jones's nickname was Gooey, so I don't know if he's Gooey anymore, but
You know,
I hope he is.
You know what I thought you were going to do? Talk about he was a part of.
Well, Clayton was.
Oh,
yeah, Clayton was.
I knew I was.
Clayton was part of the Little League dynasty. It's just part of it. But anyways, that's very cool. By the way, did you see it? If they ever needed an emergency quarterback, Clayton Merrill can do it.
Oh, yes.
That's actually his second touchdown pass of the year. Earlier in the year, he hit Matthew Manning on a touchdown. So that's not a fluke. That's a heck of a play that they've got in their arsenal. But you're right. That was very cool. I know the Merrill family was very excited. I saw where Walker posted on X. Is that how you say it now that it's not tweeted? Don't say tweeted on it. He posted on X.
Did you X on X?
He X'd on X. I thought that was very cool. This was neat. This kind of flew under the radar. Johnny Silvestri got his 7th interception of the year. Now he's in the middle of the field, so that makes it a little bit harder. But why you keep throwing to that guy, I don't know. Baylor Hayes had a really nice night again. And here, look for this as they get closer. The run game is going to be important. Trey Doris is back. Gavin Nelson and Trey Doris, they got a healthy 1-2 punch or a 1-1-8 punch in the run game. They got 2 guys that they can have out there at the same time and come at you. So I'm with you, man. I think Cane Ridge's regular season was terrible. And I have the utmost respect for Eddie Woods, but they were terrible. Coach Finch and the staff can tell those boys all they want to do. They knew they weren't beating them. And I think sometimes that happens. Some of your best teams had that. They came out a little sluggish, had to get a little wake-up call. They did, and they end up winning 28-7.
They'll be ready this week with Summit because, number one, Summit has really played them well the last couple of years.
Correct.
And it's a WCS game and, all those things that make it special. Number 2 seed, Ravenwood. 28-14 winners over Stewart's Creek. They were down 14-7 at the half, but they scored 21 unanswered in the second half to secure the win. Lucas Houston defensively had a big night. He blocked a field goal late in the first half, which could have made it 17-7. Now it's 2 scores. It feels a little bit different. And then late in the game, he had an interception. Now, I like this. The old jump pass. Did you see where that happened? The old jump pass from our man Femi Babalola to, of course, Ben Hubbard for the touchdown in the first half. I thought that was shades of Tim Tebow.
Tebow-esque.
It was and he's kind of got that because he's not the obvious QB in terms of his size and
basketball player, just an athlete.
Great athlete. So I thought that was kind of cool that they broke that out.
Yeah, I did too. It was one of Hubbard's 10 receptions of the night on 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Second half of the season, I don't know that any Raptor has played better and been more productive than Ben Hubbard. So Femi had a nice night, 14 for 18. Stewart's Creek's they're a hard team to figure out. They got a lot of talent. So Femi went 14 for 18, 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what we want. He didn't. Here's what's going to happen this week, next week, if you're a Ravenwood fan. We've got some really good things going in the running game and when we're getting the ball in the hands of our playmakers. Don't get us beat, right? Manage the game. Make the plays you're supposed to, but don't get us beat. And that's what Femi did Friday night. Played really, really well. So, and then, Davis Dowling.
He stepped up.
Holy mackerel, man. 34 carries, 175 yards. You got Carter Pace on the team. And this is the guy that's the number 2. Holy smokes. He's just had the last month, he's been all-state material. And
Caden Pace, the freshman younger brother of Carter, he has a touchdown.
I'd say they got some running backs.
So here's the thing. I know Coach Hester is going to get mad at me for saying it. Mama Hester might get a little mad, but when she really listens, she'll be happy. Ravenwood's going to be the best team next year. They've got so many young players that are stepping up and playing. I know this year's not over. They're not giving up, and it's not. And they're heading to that matchup again, I think, with Brentwood. But I'm telling you, they are the squad if you look at the youth that's stepping up and playing well. A freshman in there playing 6A football, man.
They've got the skill for sure. What does the line look like? I think that's the difference in Brentwood and everybody else.
So you were doubting me a little bit because of the line situation.
Well, that's why I've liked Brentwood from the beginning. I think they got the best offensive line. They got everything around it.
But I'm saying next year.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying. I think you're right, assuming that they've got a line to go with it.
It's the kind of the non-football guys take when you just look at the skill players and go,
Right.
well, they'll be. And I have no idea what the line looks like. But I just trust it'll.
I'm not trying to be funny. This wasn't scripted, but it's kind of like what's going on in Boulder. Coach, what do we need to do? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. We need to get a whole new offensive line. He just threw him under the bus. They got the skill.
I like Coach Prime.
I love Coach Prime, but they don't have an offensive line, according to him.
They will later. All right, number 3, Summit. And let me ask you this, 38-29 winner at Antioch. Has any team improved more during the season than Summit?
No.
Listen, they are playing with house money. They're going to mighty Brentwood in the second round. Brentwood's 11-0. Summit's played well late. They're 5-6. Nothing. No matter what happens, Summit should feel great about their year.
Yeah.
Heading into next year.
Right.
And it's not over yet.
No.
But I'm just, the way that McElhaney, 145 yards rushing, he threw one pass. It was a touchdown. Up 22-21 late, and they score a couple touchdowns. If you look at how they finished the game, that's what really good teams do. They finish games at the end. They did it on the road. I'm impressed with how they played.
That was a good win. Antioch's a really athletic team with some good wins. They've got some guys that – so as impressive as they played on offense, the defense, great job because those guys are – they put a lot of points up against a lot of people. So, I think Coach Coleman, I think that just goes to show where an experienced head coach who's been through a lot of battles, what that can do. I don't know that a first or second year head coach, a first or second year Brian Coleman holds this team together, but he did, and he knew what they had. And you're right, nobody's improved more than them, and they figured themselves out too. I think if you go and look at the game film from Friday night and then go back to week 1 or 2, I bet it's changed a lot, And so they figured out what it was, and what that is Mason McElhaney basically being a tailback at running back. It gives you an extra blocker. When your quarterback is the one running it, that running back is now an extra blocker. And they've done a great job of it. He holds onto the ball. They don't fumble. They don't turn it over. And obviously that offensive line is playing really, really well too because they're beating people by 97% of the offensive output is rushing the ball.
And he likes that.
He loves it.
He's talked about that many times. I like the thought of y'all know what's coming. And you can't stop it.
Can't stop it.
That's pretty cool.
And I think it's very important to mention Dominic Hollis. He's a guy that on different teams you could hand him the ball about 18, 20 times a game, and he'd have over 100 yards. I think he had 11 carries for 79 tough, hard yards.
Right.
He's a big part of it. This thing doesn't work without him doing what he's doing, which also goes to show the unity of this team.
Again, I think the most improved during the year.
I agree 100% on that.
Only blemish in 6A, Independence goes to Smyrna, number 1 Smyrna. They lose 26-14. Turnover on the first drive of the night was probably kind of set the tone in the wrong kind of way. Then they had also a turn. They turned it over on downs early as well. Independence, it's kind of how you end what people remember. And I know they've got a bad taste in their mouth. They'll have that going into off-season workouts. But they struggled after fall break. They were 5-3. Now, listen, they played Brentwood. That kind of makes you struggle.
10 other people lost to them, too.
But they played Summit, a team I think they thought they would beat, and they get beat by double digits. And then they thought, hey, we can go on the road and win one, and they don't quite get that done. Luke McNeely finished with 75 yards rushing on 10 carries. Through 24 passes, I think it was 14 for 24, 152 yards. Steel Katina, 87 yards receiving. So I feel bad for Coach Stidham and Independence. Coach doing a good job because they had been playing so well. And then after that fall break, just seemed to sort of not play their best football when they needed to.
Yep. Happens sometimes, right? Sometimes you see that. It comes at the right time and team comes back. They needed it. They heal up and they're playing better than they have all year. I think you nailed it. That was not the case with Independence. They have not been right since fall break. So hate to see it. I think what a tough schedule they played.
Tough. Very tough.
I think that played a part of a lot of it, but they got some dings and some bruises that they never quite recovered from. And again, Smyrna scared me a little bit because they are athletic, and Coach Williams knows how to coach. So, I think sometimes independents can go in there with the lesser team. Coach Stidham and their option attack and what they do, that gives them another 7 points in their favor. You're not going to do that against a Matt Williams coach team. They're not going to outcoach Indy, and Indy's not going to outcoach them.
Make sense? It makes sense. Let's move on to 5A. Page, 50-14 winners over Franklin County. It reads like fiction. 30 points in the first quarter. William Weebush, that guy, he figures out a way to score, by the way. 27-yard touchdown reception from Jonathan Palmer in the first quarter. Also had a 74-yard kickoff return.
And he's the best defensive back.
Total blowout.
It was a boat race in the first half, 44-0.
Man.
This is the 5A state playoffs, man. This is the home of Johnny Mazurs and Philip Fulmer. What are we doing?
Getting boat raced.
Coach Rathbone on that. He's on that Manitou tri-tune, baby, with that 300 horsepower on the back. He just made a stop over at Tim's Ford Lake. Had that thing all the way down. Didn't we say we think Coach Rathbone probably listens to a little CCR?
Maybe Doobie Brothers.
Little Rush. I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that, yep. He listens to the classics.
They're playing really, really well. Brennan Ains got another defensive touchdown. If you remember, he had one against Nolensville. This guy is playing lights out. By the way, he got a University of Tennessee offer on Friday. Very, very big. This guy, and we got a linebacker. We got this outside linebacker that just got a University of Tennessee offer, and he's not the one that's a Mr. Football semifinalist. So they're playing really, really well. Presley Cozart with 2 rushing. Nobody has more people that contribute on a Friday night than Paige.
That's right.
Players everywhere.
I say, and they might be offended by me saying this, but if you look at most would say the best team in WCS is Brentwood. I think Paige is too.
Paige would
and they might be one.
Paige would love to have a shot at him. Hey, we've talked about this too at all the game days.
We need to get that game going.
Oh, that'd be a great fundraiser, wouldn't it?
A great one.
Nobody in WCS just keeps replacing quarterbacks without a gap like Paige. Go back and look at it.
That's right.
Not saying he's going to be, but Colin Mullick, freshman, QB, threw his first varsity touchdown Friday night. So maybe a little foreshadowing of who's next.
Maybe first of many.
Yep, that's right.
Centennial, this one had me scared a little bit.
Yep.
Down at the half 7-6, but again, like the good teams do when it mattered, they stepped up. It was their first postseason win since 2016, so congratulations to Coach Stewart and Centennial. Dominic Reed, he showed why he's a Mr. Football semifinalist. 4 touchdowns, but he has 3 of them in the fourth quarter. That's when they really mattered. 84 rushing yards. Think about that, Reed. He is, if you look at his number of touchdowns per yards gained, it's actually incredible. 84 yards, but 4 of those are touchdowns. And then Tanner Lee, welcome back Tanner Lee, 136 yards rushing for Tanner. They just had to get past that one. I think they're going to get rolling now.
Well, Columbia's athletic and they're pretty good. Yeah, I don't know how they finished number 3 because I think if you look at them, they had the best looking team of any of those in that region. So nice win. Here's the other thing. Credit to Coach Stewart. They could have brought Tanner Lee back earlier. They didn't. And if you're wondering if he's 100% healthy, on that 136 yards, 26 carries. He's back. He's healthy. He's ready to go. That's and that's a 1-2 punch.
Great patience by the coaching staff.
Great patience, and by Tanner too. He could have pushed, but 4 touchdowns by Dom Reed, and now you got Tanner Lee going 26 carries for 136 yards. That's a heck of a 1-2 punch, man. I'm with you. I think Columbia is better than what their record and their seeding showed, and I think we saw that on Friday night. I think Centennial's poised to have a really good playoffs.
Hey, message out to our folks at MyTV30. We like the MyTV30 guys, but they had the rosters backwards. Whoever was doing the thing, like it was like head coach Jamal Stewart, it was like the other guy. And then great interception and it was the wrong team. Come on, man. I mean, come on, man. All right. No, you get it.
Hey, kids.
We don't want to throw too much hate their way, but I mean.
If the shoe fits.
We need like a big, gigantic shoe out here. Anyway, again, I know you, but whoever's in charge of that, please get that right.
Well, how do you not catch it? This went on for 4 quarters?
I saw it happen about 4 times, yeah. Okay, let's move on. The only other blemish in WCS, Tullahoma 10-0 winner over Nowensville. Listen, it's next man up. We all know that. But not only they weren't playing with senior QB Ty Collins, who's important. They were down to QB number 3.
That's tough.
Going to make it difficult. Just like the folks at Florida State. I'm sure back in the day when Tennessee won the national title in '98, they don't say we were on quarterback number 3.
I think I've heard them say that.
Well, they shouldn't.
Marcus Outson.
But it's part of it, right? It's just,
right.
And in this sport, it's next man up. That's the mantra for football. I know Coach Derrick and his crew won't make excuses, but they win that game under normal circumstances. You still got to give it up to Tullahoma for getting the win. It's an end for Collins and Zion Tamaska and Joe Carano and Joseph Bandy. But to finish 8-3 with what they had to replace, I thought was a good year. And again, it's tough when you lose your quarterback. And 2 of them.
2 of them. That's right. And especially when your quarterback that you lost is Ty Collins. He's a guy who won you some games that you might not win without him being a quarterback. So hate to see it. I should have done this before. I wish I had. I'd like to see the 4-year record of these seniors. It has to be lights out. And so they've definitely left Nowensville night football better than they found it. Zion Tamaska, what a great senior year he had. He won't be tops in the career yardage totals, but I'm willing to bet he might have gotten the single season. So excited to see that. But congrats to all those seniors. They've done a fantastic job. They left it better than they found it. Great run, 8-3, no shame there. And again, you hate to see it like this. This is one. If injuries don't take its toll, they don't lose this game.
3A. This was another one that had me a little nervous early on. Fairview 36, Maplewood 30. They were down 22-16 at the half, Fairview was, but then they scored 3 straight touchdowns in the second half to sort of take over. And I had to do a double take on these stats. Trayvon Murray, the sophomore, 37 carries, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, here's what's happened because of the emergence of Murray. It's let Billingsley, like we always talk about, because he's got to do so much, Wendell Billingsley. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, by the way, and then a passing touchdown to Chambers. But if you look at their rushing, they had 50 carries, 379 yards, and 7 passes. And it's not that they don't trust Jax.
Right.
McCoy's played great, but give Fairview credit. They saw that's where they could really do some damage, and boy, did they ever.
Heck yeah, and you got to give Coach Hughes credit on that. That takes discipline.
It does.
I mean, I see a lot of good programs and coaches where they just can't do it. The play caller cannot do it. That takes discipline to know, yes, this might be open over here. This pass we could take a shot here. But the best thing for us to win is to continue to run this ball and to call 50 running plays. Coach Hughes, I'm assuming Coach Hughes calls the plays, unless that changed this year. He gets a game ball for that, because that's hard to do, man. I've seen really, really good ones that can't do it. So that takes a lot of discipline. That's unbelievable. And man, we were talking about second half of the season. You go down to 3A in Fairview, nobody's playing better than Trayvon Murray has second half of the season. That's really big.
I was a little disappointed Billingsley wasn't Mr. Football finalist.
I know.
And I'm not saying there's some good guys in 3A, but what he did for his team, especially early.
I don't think they look at defensive stats. It's broken. Let's go win a state championship.
Is it time for that soapbox thing to get?
Today, we probably don't have time today.
We don't.
Trust me. You just let me know when. I got a lot of thoughts.
Listen,
it's embarrassing.
Intern Lance, as he made an exit, that was an all-time graphic.
Soapbox. We're going to see what Creed and Brian have. I expect to see spy hunters shooting across the screen.
Brian stepped his game up, man. In week 1, he introduced the little promo video we did for the show. I thought it was great. All right, Tate, let's wrap up with this. Let's talk about pick'ems. And by the way, fans, you can continue to vote throughout the playoffs at WCS CO Athletics on X. Make sure you do that. We all went 6-2. Okay. We all went homer.
Yep.
So the fans, Dr. Qualls, we all went 6-2. So still remains the same in terms of the gap. Dr. Qualls, 62 wins. The fans and you, 64 wins, and I have 66. So you're down to, are you desperate? Are you going to do something a little different this week? So we're going to go through the picks, and I'm going to go first.
Okay.
I'm ahead. I'm going to go first. 6A, Brentwood versus Summit. Here's what I'd say. Whatever the spread would be, the pundits would create, Summit will win on the spread. They won't get – people think that they're not going to get dominated. They're not. But they're going to win. I'm going to say –
Did you just give Coach Coleman a participation ribbon? What was that?
No, but I'm saying it's going to be 8 to 12-ish.
They're going to know they were there.
Yeah, and maybe they push it out the end. I don't know. But it's going to be a good game. It's not going to be a dominant game, at least not early.
It was 20-0 the last time. You saying Summit scores? Couple?
I'm saying it was 3-0 for a long time in that game. Brentwood wins, but it's closer than people think. What you got?
Everything you just said. Brentwood's going to win. Summit's going to let them know they were there. Great job by the Summit team and staff. Second half of the year, they've like you said, most improved. Brentwood's 11-0 for a reason. The Brew wins.
Tate, your pick. Ravenwood at Smyrna. I know you like Coach Williams. Is this where you try to get back in it? Who you got in this one? Smyrna's the home team, the homestanding Bulldogs playing at Bud Rake Stadium. Is that what it is? I'm sure it's called.
It's got to be, right?
If it's not, it should be.
Bud Rake's Field at Bud Rake Stadium.
At Bud Rake School.
Bud Rake's is, I don't know what Bud's doing now, but he's not there. There's no Sonny Gray walking through the door, Arion Carter. They already played once earlier this year. Matt Williams is a great coach, but guess what? Ravenwood's got a great coach too. The Raptors get win number 2 in 2023 over the Bulldogs. I
agree. Ravenwood wins. It sets up Battle of the Woods playoff version. First time Coach Hester taking on Brentwood in the playoffs will happen. Ravenwood wins by double digits.
Double digits.
I'll pick this one because it's a tough one. 5A, Page versus Tullahoma. So Tullahoma, you didn't do us right last week. You beat a banged-up Nolensville team. We get even this year or this week. You'll be putting on boat racing stuff, all that stuff. They're gonna
2 for 2.
They're going to hammer them. Page, big.
Page, big, running clock, the sun drop, dump, comes up, have a fun ride home. Make sure you you're not going to need any sun drop to get home. Because you're going to be going home at 9:05 because the game's going to be running.
Well, maybe the falling back.
Thanks for
maybe
playing.
They're still tired because of the time change.
Maybe they can start talking about whatever it is that down there they do. They're baseball, right? Start getting ready for baseball. As my man says, get out the plastic bins.
Cardinal time, as we like to refer
yes.
to. So we both have Page. Tate, your pick. Centennial, 9-2 at a very dangerous Shelbyville team, 10-1. They did beat Hillsboro 41-7. Who do you have in this one, Tate?
Including Page. Centennial has not seen an offense like this. These guys can score points. They can score them fast. They can score a lot of them. Shelbyville was 1-10 last year.
Man.
1-10. Guess what? They put all their players on offense. So they hadn't seen a defense like this, an offense like this. But Centennial has seen a defense like this, and it isn't good. This is a high-scoring affair, but Centennial look for Mr. Reed to get 4 more touchdowns. The Cougars.
I agree. Centennial. Final game, 3A. Fairview 8-3 versus number 2 Liberty Creek. Liberty Creek beat Sycamore last week, 42-0. Got a lot of respect for Coach Bill Alexander, who does it the right way at Liberty Creek. I'm going to do this for 2 different reasons. One, because I'm kind of thinking it might happen, and I hope they prove me wrong. But 2, I want to see what you're going to do here. Unfortunately, I'm going Liberty Creek.
Oh, really?
Were you gonna pick them?
No.
Okay.
No, but I mean, do you want me to say why I think you're doing that, or you want me to fan the flames a little bit, or no?
Fan on.
Okay, so Liberty Creek came from where?
Beach.
Bill Alexander came from where?
Beach.
Oh, okay. So does this have anything to do with Beach?
No. Listen,
I know why you're doing this.
As Mr. Cardwell told me, my man out at Beach High, he said, I know who signs my check. If I'm doing it based on that, I'm going Fairview.
You're a competitor.
I'm going for the win here.
I know why you did this. One, I don't think it has anything to do with that. That 36-30 Maplewood score
scared me a little bit.
Scared you, and it should scare you. But Maplewood can run. Okay, so anyways, yeah, they got Liberty Creek's got Brian Rager. I make another spot up. I'm going with the Yellow Jackets, Coach Hughes, Trayvon, Wendell. Come on, baby. Jacks, make me look good. I'm going with the Yellow Jackets.
Let's go ahead and say this.
It's over.
If Liberty Creek wins, it's over. It's over. If they don't, it's game on, which I kind of like.
It's game on.
I hope I'm wrong.
Hey, let's check something real quick.
I hope I'm wrong.
I know you do.
What are you checking? You're checking our bracket?
So you'll get the winner of that gets East Nashville.
Yes, that's right. And so I think if we stay alive, we'll probably be on the same page on that one next time.
If you win the quarters, you're going to Chattanooga.
Yeah. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You might cut this thing to 1, but if you do, you're going to have to do something like pick Centennial over Page. Or you pick Ravenwood over Brentwood.
I thought you picked Ravenwood to win the whole thing.
I said the regular season, didn't I? So, Miss Esther, regular season's over.
We need some, Mr. Producer, I need you to do a little digging on that.
Tate, always great to see you. Sorry we went over on time, but it's important. We got to talk about this stuff.
It's the playoffs.
The playoffs. Tate, we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.